Spencer! Brendan Morrison in overtime! Listen to this place!
We're live. Two great renditions of the anthem there. And Vancouver starting the lotto line here. We got Pedersen starting with Miller and Besser, and Nashville's fighting fire with fire. They got their top guns going here too with O'Reilly and Forsberg and Nyquist over there. So excited about the start of this game, man. A lot of emotions, you know, when you think back, listening to the anthems on the blue line, a lot of things going through your mind. But excited to watch this one. Glad you're here. This is obviously something completely new for me, doing a live stream as the game's going on. So there might be a few hiccups, and there's a possibility I might be on a slight time delay. But anyways, we'll work through it here and see what we can do. Uh-oh. Nice play. Quick little 2-on-1 there, and not the guy that you want to have the puck there, Forsberg, but great defensive play. But I expect a lot of the same type of hockey here, like tight, low scoring. It's a good start here by Nashville, getting some zone time. All right, second lines here coming out, getting into the game. But, you know, as a goaltender there, Sheloff's in net again. You want to feel the puck early, you know. So a couple shots there. Oh, good save right there. All right, Van's got to get their feet going here, guys. 2 shifts in a row here where Nashville's kind of buzzing. But to be expected, you know, the home team is got lots of juice. The road team just kind of, whoa, that's a great save with his left pad there. Watch that. Oh, huge save. Ex-Canuck there again too, Beauvillier. And guys, again, I apologize if I'm a couple seconds behind you here, but we'll answer some questions along the way. I got to throw my readers on here to answer these questions, but if you have any, we'll do some throughout the game, and obviously during the intermission or the commercial breaks here. But it was, I don't know if you guys have the feed where the coaches talk to address the team before the game. So they had cameras on both Tocchet and Brunette going in there, which was pretty cool. Just straightforward message about who's starting and what they expect from their team. So that's always kind of neat to see that behind the scenes inside look. Yeah, they're just got some snow or something down there in those holes. They want to make sure the net's not popping off too easy there. Here we go. First question, Bima. What's it like waiting to get your first shift in if you aren't in the starting lineup? Yeah, you want to get out there like as quick as possible. It's tough watching and waiting. You want to get your feet moving. And if possible, I mean, even if you're not a physical player, you know, try and get some body contact. Either, you know, finish a check or you might absorb a check, but that kind of, you know, wakes you up and gets you into the game. But you definitely want to get out there and get your feet moving. It'll be interesting here to see how Vancouver, how this game plays out. You know, I thought games 3 and 4, Nashville was really good at home. Oh, great forecheck by Garland. So a little bit of a different look here. We got Bluger, DiGiuseppe, and Garland. I've liked DiGiuseppe's game in this playoffs, right? Very, very straightforward, and this is a pretty good answer here by Vancouver here. The last minute here, a good shift in their zone. Started with a great forecheck by Garland. Nice move. Oh, nice play. So now we got looks like Pedersen's back there with his normal line. New question there. Sorry. How did they avoid Saros being able to stop the rim around? The only way you can avoid that is sometimes get the puck up on the glass. It was interesting. I was listening to Henrik Lundqvist. He's going to be a Hall of Fame Ranger goalie, Swedish guy. But he said, if you get the puck up on the glass, the kind of general rule for goalies is don't leave your net. It's not worth it. We've seen some crazy bounces here the last week or so in the playoffs with pucks hitting the glass or even the boards and popping right up front and leading to scoring chances and goals. So I think if Vancouver can get the puck up on the glass, it might force Saros to stay in the net or sometimes look for cross corner dumps to not allow him to get out and stop pucks. There's some traffic there, yeah. Well, I saw that puck all the way through. And as we know, they're not gonna beat Saros if you can see the puck from the blue line. But you got to get the puck to the net. Traffic, rebounds. I mean, that's the recipe right there. Oh, what's your diet like these days versus when you were playing? Well, I don't eat as much food as I used to when I was playing, so that's one thing. But I've always been pretty conscious about what I eat. It's food is a big part of my family's life. Especially my wife kind of takes the lead there. She's a phenomenal chef and is very, very healthy. And she likes to cook, which is tremendous. And I like to cook as well. I'm more of a barbecue guy, but we try to eat a lot of fish, a lot of wild game, and obviously along with that, vegetables, etc. But I just don't eat as much. Like portion sizes are much smaller. I still find myself snacking quite a bit. Like I'm still pretty active. For exercise, I still skate a couple times a week, and I still try and work out 4 or 5 times a week if I can, stay active. But just managing the quantity of food I'm consuming. I'm actually a little bit lighter than when I played. I played at about 183, 184, and I'm about 10 pounds lighter today. So lost quite a bit through my legs. I've had a couple of buddies tell me that my legs look like 150 yard markers now, which wasn't too nice. Good finish. Well, it looks like teams have kind of settled in here a little bit now, right? Good start by Nashville. Vancouver had a good answer. Okay, Bimo, what is your opinion on Mikheyev's stick handling? Seems his passing and shooting has struggled this year. He has struggled offensively, especially the last, 20, 25 games. He's coming off a major knee surgery, and I know firsthand what that's like. I had 2 ACL surgeries, and even though I was back playing within 6 months both times, I just didn't have the strength in my legs, and I didn't have that explosiveness. And skating's a huge part of his game. But so when and I know you're thinking, well, what does that have to do with your hands? Well, when you kind of just feel out of tune, it's a weird thing. You're not in sync. So I'm kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt there to still maybe getting through that big surgery he had. But yeah, he's it would be real nice if he could start contributing. He's had some good chances in the series, man. But I think part of the issue is just going back to his surgery. Good face-off win. Here we go. Here we go. There it is. Oh, yeah. Oh! Man, I thought that was going in. I mean, Quinn Hughes is just, he's so dangerous out there. Like, look at him operating that offensive zone. He's just, how do you check that guy? Guys don't want to challenge him because he's so quick. So they kind of hold mid-ice. They give him the outside, and he takes advantage of that. Man, that was close. That was a real good look there. Didn't even get a shot on that, but a good look. Backdoor pass. Let's see this. Oh, he's going to put it right through the crease. Ah. Nah, he didn't have a great angle. I mean, in hindsight, it'd been awesome if he could have stopped on that puck, but he's going so fast in slow motion, it looks easy, but that's a tough break. Okay, here, what advice would you have for Petey? I remember Marcus dealt with a confidence issue of sorts at one point and overcame that, as we know. It's a weird thing, I'll tell you. Like, confidence is, to me, confidence, I saw a really good definition of this here that really kind of registered was, confidence is kind of, in order to get confidence, you got to have the courage to continue to fail until you succeed, right? So what does that mean? It means keep doing the things that you can do. And if you fail, just keep doing them until you succeed. Once you start succeeding, obviously your confidence will come. There's no secret. He's a huge part of this team. And if he's on his A game, this team has a lot more success. Everybody goes through it. I've gone through it in my career. Other guys go through it. The problem is at this time of year, you don't really have the practice time to really put in the reps and work through it. So I know, like, speaking to Marcus directly, and I remember having this conversation with him and Bert one time when things weren't going well. It's like, we need to put the work here in practice to get through this. Like, if you weren't scoring, don't just go through the motions in practice and expect there's a magic switch you can turn on in the game. It's like, bear down in practice when you have opportunities. Take advantage of opportunities. When the puck starts going in, that's going to carry over to game. So that's kind of how we used to approach it, is through practice time, which, guys really don't have much time of right now in the playoffs. So I think it's just mentally resetting, even talking to someone. I'm sure there's, a sports psychologist, and just really reinforcing and watching tape of what you've done, right? Watching tape. Uh-oh, here we go. I think he's there. Nice back check. Come on. Big save, man. Man, every time these guys are on the ice for Nashville, they seem to make something happen. They've been good. And Nyquist this year, man, he's not a young buck, but he's just kind of been rejuvenated. I think career year for him. He's been real good in the series too. I like the start here by Sheloffs, though. 3 shots on net, but two grade A scoring chances. So he's answered the bell early. Look at that season, Roman Josi, 23 goals. Jeez. All right, Bimo, what are the common face-off infractions that centers get tossed for? Been watching hockey my whole life, and 9% of the time, I can't figure out why a center is tossed. That's a good question. So sometimes you can have skate infraction if you're not lined up, right? You see those kind of L-shaped hash marks by the dot, right? You're supposed to have your skates behind those lines. So if you're cheating past that, a lot of times you'll get a warning from the linesman. If you do it again, a lot of times he'll throw you out. You'll see as a centerman, you'll see rule state as a centerman, you need to come in and have your stick stationary. There's like on the face-off dot, there's like a little white, if you can barely see it, but there's a little, like there's no coloring on the red dot. It's just white, and you're supposed to have your stick stationary on the ice there. So you'll see guys constantly lifting their stick up to get an advantage coming over top. Most face-offs are won by the guy who gets over top of the other guy and has that leverage and power to come down. So if a guy's tapping his stick and coming up, tapping his stick coming up, he'll get a warning. If he taps and comes up again without setting his stick, he'll get thrown out. So those are really the ways that you get thrown out of a face-off circle. Oh, I don't think Miller saw him there. If you were the coach, would you change the lines or keep it the same? I would. Man, I mean, that's a tough one, right? Like, I think I would give Petey some more looks on the lotto line. Like, I know he started the game there tonight, but maybe that running Miller and Besser out every third shift, double shift them a couple times, getting Petey on that line might help get him going. But I do think last game that line played better. They had some chances. I don't know if I would throw the lines in the blender too much, but getting those guys out there as much as possible would be something I would be definitely thinking of. You can see that setup there from Vancouver. They're like when Nashville has full control. They're very passive, right? Holding mid-ice, trying to force guys to the outside, trying to create turnovers, playing real tight together. That's a high stick. Who is the biggest beauty you were teammates with? Can be for any reason. Oh, man. So many funny guys, right? That's a tough question to ask, but early in my career in New Jersey, Scott Gomez was a beauty. He would be classified as a beauty. Came in as a rookie. I played on the line with him and Claude Lemieux, and Claude Lemieux, nicknamed the Pep, he would always give it to Gomer and I, and we had some memorable times on the bench, getting heat from the Pep. And Van, so many funny guys, but we only had this guy for a short period of time, but he's known as one of the funniest people in hockey. That was Marc Bergevin, who went on to become the GM of the Canadiens. But I mean, we'd heard about him, right? Like his reputation around the league, and then we traded for him in 03-04, and his reputation was bang on. Like honestly, there was a lot of days you'd leave the rink and your cheeks would be sore from laughing so much. I mean, he was just on all the time. Super funny dude. Mika Kiprusoff in Calgary was a beauty. He he had a good sense of humor, like very, very calm demeanor and very unassuming. Very unassuming. Like if you didn't know him at all, he wouldn't say much, but once he got comfortable and kind of loosened up around you, he was a comedian for sure. Oh, you have any fun stories from your year in the Swedish league? Oh yeah, that was the lockout year in 0405. I ended up playing in Linköping. And interesting stories. I went over there with Mike Knubel, who was my line mate in college for 2 years at the University of Michigan. And then when Mike Knubel was a freshman, his roommate on the road was Mike Helber, who was a senior. Anyways, fast forward now, Mike Helber goes over, plays in Europe for a bit, stays over there, marries a Swedish girl, ends up becoming the general manager of Linköping. So in the lockout year, Mike Knubel and I have the same agent. Mike Helber gets in touch with our agent, says, hey, would Brendan and Mike be interested in coming over here and playing during the lockout? It's like, yeah, absolutely. I wanted to be active. I wanted to play. And same thing with Noobs. So we go over there and we had a great time. Like I remember the very first day we arrived, we had a long travel day, like 16 hours. And we ended up playing that night. We got in the afternoon and we played that night. And I just remember coming back to the bench. And the fans already had songs, individual songs about Mike and I. And we were just sitting on the benches like, this is unbelievable. But the best story is, so we would bus everywhere. The trips weren't that long. But our first bus trip, we got about 20 minutes outside of town and we stopped at a gas station. Me and Mike are like, what's going on? Like, we just started the trip. And all the boys are like, it's a candy stop. We're like, what do you mean a candy stop? They're like, no, come in the gas station. You got to get some candy. So we go in there and the gas station is like a bulk candy store. You go check out, there's like 20 bins of candy at the front cashier. And these guys are just loading up bags of candy. It was wild. So, I mean, we did that every single road trip. So that was bizarre. Interesting here. It looks like Vancouver is almost on a power play. Look at how Nashville is just holding the mid ice, almost playing everybody inside the dots and allowing Van to just throw that puck around on the outside and just protecting mid ice. Now, here's another guy that can do some damage. Obviously, Hughes and Josie and McCarr up for the Norris this year, which I think Hughes wins. Oh, good job. Good clearing. Get that out. Chip it. There you go. D. Man, crazy. Hey, like we're almost 12 minutes in, and again, Van has 2 shots on that. Come on, get back. Another great save. What a move. Who was that? Here we go. Man, 3 really good looks from Nashville already. Oh, boy. Yeah, too many odd man rushes against for Van. I don't like that right now. I mean, they've had 3 or 4 odd man rushes they've given up. That's gotta stop, or that's gonna hurt them. Here you go. Penalty? No. Close to being offside. Good job by Zadorov cutting that off. Come on. See, that needs to be out there. Full control. Well, I mean, Nashville's had a pretty good first period. no harm yet, but I think Van needs to. We need to get going here. Oh, no ice. Nice play. Great outlet there in the middle. And man, there's not a lot of room for Vancouver right now. I mean, Nashville's doing a great job of back pressure and this needs to be out right now. Good stick. Do you think the extreme travel has any effect by Game 6? If anything, I thought it might help Vancouver because, Nashville is a little bit more centrally located, obviously, in the country, and I don't think they're as used to as much travel as Vancouver. Like Vancouver is notorious for logging, if not the most miles, like top 3 miles in the league typically. So I thought that Van might have an advantage if the longer the series goes as far as travel goes. That was a great move. Oh, what a save too. What's your favorite game moment? What was your favorite game moment playing for the Canucks? Well, I think your first game always is a memorable one. It comes to mind. I remember it like it was yesterday. Arriving in Vancouver and coming back to my hometown was obviously a huge thrill. Having the opportunity to play in front of family and friends was the best time of my career. But that first game, I remember, Messier was there, Nazi, and ended up scoring in my first game, and we played the Buffalo Sabres. You remember certain playoff games, the overtime games, like the one against Calgary that we won in Calgary and ended up forcing Game 7 back home. The quadruple overtime game against Dallas when the Sedins hooked up and we won that one in quadruple overtime. Man, that thing was more of a nightmare than a fond memory. Like I think I ended up playing about 46 minutes that night, which for a forward is just astronomical. And I remember in the first overtime, I was behind the net, and a stick went through my skate holder, and then the stick went into the net. And I was trying to pull my leg out, and I couldn't. And my whole hamstring cramped on me, and I could barely make it to the bench. And my trainer at the time, Mike Bernstein, said I looked like a crab coming off the ice. But I got an IV in that first overtime, first time in my life, and just you got the IV in, and they're just squeezing the saline, the solution into you. And I remember I was obviously sweating and hot, but I was freezing cold because of that solution going in you. But the outcome of the game was what we wanted. We won that game. Like this series a little bit to me reminds me a little bit of when we played Minnesota, and that guy right there, Andrew Burnett, if you guys have him on your TV, teammate of mine in Chicago for a brief period of time, but he was in Minnesota, and it was a defensive battle. But there were still some more goals scored. But when we played, speaking of that Dallas series, when we played Dallas and beat them in Game 7, the crazy thing is Marty Turco, a good buddy of mine who was a teammate of mine at the University of Michigan. He was the goaltender for Dallas. He had 3 shutouts in that series, and we still beat them. Like that's crazy, right? I mean, that's pretty defensive, those games. But I mean, if you'd have told me Vancouver had 2 shots on net almost through the first period, I probably would have lost my house, because I would have bet that they would have more than that. You think that the Canucks have significant risk with inexperience in the net? Looking good so far, but can they go deep, you think? I think history's proven that sometimes you can win the cup when you don't have what people might call an all-star goaltender. I mean, it's happened in the past. I mean, it's all about buy-in from your team, how you play defensively, the type of opportunities you're giving up. But I think this. I mean, both these guys. I like Casey DeSmith's game, and I've really liked Sheloff's. I mean, he's been outstanding in the games that he's played in, and even tonight to start. I mean, you can't ask for any better goaltending than what they're getting. To be honest with you, I mean, they've been good. Now, can they sustain it? I don't know. I mean, that's the question. You'd like to think so, but he's probably getting more and more comfortable as every game that goes by. One-timer. Hey. Come on. Shoot that. Compared to when you played in the playoffs, what's something that was tougher than today and something that was easier than today? Wow, that's a good one. Something that was tougher than today. I mean, even as physical as the game is in the playoffs right now, I think it was more physical in the early to mid 2000s. And it was more, especially early on, prior to the lockout in 04-05, when they really clamped down on clutching and grabbing. I mean, you go back and watch those playoff games, it's like WrestleMania on ice. I mean, water skiing off of guys. Water skiing is when you're back checking on a guy and you basically just put your stick blade around his waist and you just hitch a ride off of him. Interference from a D-man when forwards would try and forecheck, the offside D will just come and skate in your way and cut you off. So, I mean, just, the clutching and grabbing obviously was much, much different. Something that was easier. Nice save. I think certain matchups might have been easier, because I do believe that there's more parity in the league today. So I think if you get in, even if it's an 8 seed, you have a chance to win the cup. And I don't know if that would have been the same case back in like the early and mid 2000s. If you were a low seeded team, I think it was much more difficult to go on a run than if you were a lower seed team today. Look at this guy. Nice try. If you were on that bench right now, what would you be saying to the guys in this moment? Just positive reinforcement. Boys, stick with it. Stick with it. Be ready when we get a chance. Just keep battling. Win your shift, right? That's the mentality. Like, don't worry about the outcome of the game. It's worrying about the process, how you're playing, and even, to break it down into, more details than that, is win your shift. Just focus on your shift. Beat the guy that you're matched up against. And on the road, take it as a personal challenge, because the home team, gets last change and they're looking for certain matchups. So, the mindset is try and shove it up the other team's, right? When they're getting their matchups against you. Well, I think if Van can get out of this period a 0-0 score, or if they score one late, I mean, that'd be magical. They've certainly been outchanced here by Nashville. There you go. Got the lotto line going here again. So a good job there, obviously, on the offensive zone draw with a minute left. Put your big guns out there and see if they can find one for you. See that rim there? You don't get it up. Saros, he's going to stop it every time. Hit that. Yeah, not bad. A little pressure at the end there. A couple more shots on that. What a tight period again, though. Wow. Six shots to 5. That's insane. Well, I mean, I said at the beginning, I expect it to be similar to what it's been, and that's tight. Although I thought Vancouver gave up, the chances they gave up were 2 grade A. I mean, Nashville had 3 legit grade A chances. So we're going to have to eliminate those odd man rushes. Can you comment on the effects of pressures put on NHL players in big markets by fans and media? How do you tune this out? Is it bad for player overall performance? Well, I think there's positives and negatives. I mean, for me, I love playing in Vancouver, my hometown, in a Canadian city where there was passionate fans and fans that cared. Now, with that being said, there were times when, things were going well, but there was still something negative written about the team or about a certain player. Like, you could never escape. I mean, like, people don't want to read, things are rosy all the time and there's no issues at all. I mean, you look at the newspaper, you read the internet. I mean, the things that attract the most attention are things where there's a problem or there's an issue. Then it's no different in sports, right? Like, is there any conflict? Is there any turmoil? Why is this guy struggling? The team's won 10 in a row, but he hasn't scored in 6 games. Well, who cares? The team's won. They're winning, right? So there are times when it does affect you mentally, and it's hard to get away from. I mean, I can't even imagine nowadays. It is a lot more than when I played in Vancouver, just with the devices, social media, etc. But I think you just have to find a way to not engage, to really force yourself not to tune in at times, and always remember this: like, things are never as good as what people say they are, and things are never as bad as what people say they are. So, when you're playing great and you're on a roll and people are talking about how good you are, well, you need to be level-headed. And when things are not going as well and people are trashing you, well, it's not that bad. So just finding that the happy medium there is a key. All right. I was always curious what is said during scrums after the whistle. Probably pretty colorful language. Well, yeah, there can be some pretty colorful things said depending on, some of it's really funny stuff with teammates that have played with guys before, or they played with each other in junior or college hockey. So you do hear some funny stuff, but you have a couple guys that cross the line and get personal with, I've heard guys say things about other guys' wives and stuff like that, which is just crossing the line. But for the most part, some stuff pretty funny and guys get a kick out of it, but you get the odd guy who's just a bit of an idiot, and you just got to tune those guys out. Well, I thought that was, a pretty good period overall. Like, can it be better? Yes, it can be better, but as a road team coming into this environment, it's not bad. You'll take that. If you would have told Vancouver, hey guys, going into that game tonight, the game would be 0-0 at the end of one, would you take that? Every single person in the dressing room would put their hand up and said, yep, I'm in. So, it's going to be a battle here the next 40 minutes. Bit of a pushback at the end from Vancouver, but they got to continue to find a way to get pucks deep and get some forechecking pressure, and they got to focus on not giving up any odd man rushes. I mean, that's the key. We didn't have any penalties that period, so I do think, I have a feeling, my intuition is telling me that special teams is going to be the difference maker in this game. So be disciplined, but if you get on the power play, make sure that you take advantage of your opportunity. So we'll take a couple more, let's say 3 more questions here, guys, and then we'll get a response from people to see how they thought this went. And if people enjoyed it, I'll do it again. I'm game to do it again. It's the first time. Can't believe I talked this much. I thought I was just going to sit here and be quiet, but it's interesting watching the game, and you don't want to talk the whole time, but there's certain things that you see that are going on. So if people liked it, then we'll definitely do it again at some point. All right, we'll do 3 more questions. You think Taka should keep putting out the lotto line? Yeah, like I talked about earlier, I think he should mix that lotto line in there. It's find a way to get those guys out there, especially like they did late in that offensive zone face-off situation. It's a delicate thing because you want to get Petey going, but the lotto line's been good, right? Like with Suter on that line, so you don't want to totally ruin the chemistry that they've had, but you also realize that you need Patterson to have success. So it's a balancing act. I would find ways to mix them in at certain times in the game for sure. I know players are supposed to approach each game the same no matter the team, but was there ever a team that you dreaded playing against? Well, never really dreaded playing against a certain team, but we talked about it, or I talked about it a little bit earlier when we matched up against Minnesota. They weren't fun to play against. Just the system they played, there just was limited room, especially for the style that the teams that I played on in Vancouver. We wanted to, you got to be smart and you got to make reads and all that stuff. But I mean, playing in a more offensive team that at times, just didn't sit back and wait for you to, turn the puck over, and then that's how they generated their offense. I mean, it really was an exercise in patience. So that would be one team where I didn't really enjoy playing against, just based on their style. That's a good one. What feels better, an overtime goal or a monster Marlin? Oh man, you're really sticking it to me here. That's a good question. Geez. For me, like a monster marlin, I've caught fewer monster marlins in my life than I've scored overtime goals. But it's hard to replace scoring an overtime goal and just that feeling of having team success and being able to contribute. So I will go with scoring an overtime goal. you really? That's a coin toss. Well, we'll stay on here a couple more minutes. I guess there's a few more people that have logged in for the intermission. So I know some people want to watch the game in peace and quiet, don't want to listen to me yap. But we'll chat here for another few minutes, and then when we get closer to game time, we'll sign off so you guys can enjoy the game. Did you see Alex Burrows becoming coach, or do you see any future coaches among your ex-teammates? Yeah, like, you know, Alex Burrows is a great story, right? I mean, a guy that came out of junior, not a lot of fanfare, started his career in the East Coast League, worked his way up to the Manitoba Moose, ended up coming to Vancouver, started as a fourth-line player, just really put the work in, right? I mean, just was committed. I mean, it consumed him, and then, you know, he ends up earning a spot to play with Daniel and Henrik, and it's just a great fit on that line. I mean, his style of play, as far as, you know, getting in on the forecheck, causing turnovers, knowing what his role was, get those guys the puck and then get in a position, and then for him to work on his finish and goal scoring like that. So Burr was always kind of a student of the game. It's not surprising to me that he's turned into a coach. You know, for that matter, Trevor Letowski was a teammate of mine in Vancouver. He was coaching in Montreal with Burr. I mean, so many guys in this game. You know, Brunette's coaching here. Yeah, you can see that some guys really kind of take to it, and some guys, you know, some guys would rather be doing other things. But you know, it is interesting to watch guys, you know, how their careers evolve and who stays in the game, who gets out of the game, and you know, there's no one really that jumps out at me right now that might be a coach, but played with a lot of guys who are still in the game and not only coaching, but are, you know, on the management side of the game as well. Will there be new Real West Coast episodes? Absolutely. So I would love to have you guys subscribe to Real West Coast YouTube channel. That would be awesome. We could get a big boost and a big lift there. Our sponsors love to see that. But we just finished filming season 7 last year, so, you know, we film for the year previous and release the content. So, for example, season 7 was filmed in 2023. It airs in 2024, and we start releasing them in January of that year, and we release a new one every week. So the first 10 weeks of 2024, we release new content, new shows, and now they'll replay for the year. We're in the process of scheduling our trips for this year, and so we'll do 10 again this year in 2024, and they'll be released in 2025. But we still release, you know, smaller versions, shorter clips on our YouTube channel and you know, our Instagram and things like that, other social media. But yes, Real West Coast is definitely a goal again this year. And no, I'm not drinking. I know it looks like I'm a big kombucha guy. Bigger fight, Game 7 or a barn door? Whew. Those halibut can be a pain in the butt. But Game 7, you know, I actually played in quite a few Game 7s. Didn't have nearly the success that I wanted to have in Game 7s. But Game 7s they're a lot of fun to play in. You know, you obviously want to go out and do everything you can to help your team win. You don't want to do anything that could negatively affect your team. But yeah, man, there's nothing that replaces playing in a Game 7 in sports, especially when you get to play that game at home and you have your fans behind you.
Ordering the same pizza from the same place and getting the same pizza from the same place.
All right, guys, we'll do a couple more. Let's do 3 more. How about that? We'll do 3 and then let you guys enjoy your your Friday night. All right. What's your take on how Bieksa is doing on Hockey Night in Canada? I think he's doing phenomenal. I mean, he has a great sense of humor, obviously. Very dry at times, but direct and straight to the point. He was always like that, even as a teammate. We actually have the same agent. And he's killing it, man. Like, he's doing phenomenal. And he's not afraid to say things, right? That some other guys might be hesitant to say. He has the experience, but he's not afraid to show that color on TV. He's not obviously reserved. He wants to. He's not afraid to discuss controversial things or call guys out. So I think he's been great. I enjoy watching him and listening to him and chirping him at times. We're still buddies to this day, but he does a great job. Are you cheering for anyone else other than the Canucks? Well, I don't really have an affiliation, really. Not really. I'm a fan of the game. I like watching certain players. I like watching individuals. Just appreciating what certain players do. Obviously I want to see Vancouver do as well as they can, but I think, again, talking about parity, there's so much parity and so many different teams that can make a run. But I think I actually have Carolina coming out of the East. That was kind of my early pick. And, if Vancouver doesn't come out of the West, I think Dallas has a good chance to come out of the West. But you never know, right? That's why you play the games. All right, what is the key to winning faceoffs, and why are guys like O'Reilly so good at it? It's again, repetition. It's reading certain things. It's matchups. Am I going against a righty? Am I going against a lefty? A lot of times it's positioning your stick in the face-off circle to try and influence where the linesman's going to drop the puck. So you can do a couple things where you can kind of navigate where that puck's going to be dropped. But just, good hand-eye coordination, right? Timing. But again, this comes through repetition, and just got distracted there, and just doing it over and over again. But you're right. Certain people are much better than other people at it. All right, we'll do one more here, guys, and then we'll let you go watch the game. All right, what was one of your favorite rinks to play in other than home ice? So many good rinks. I found over the years the rinks have kind of changed a bit, becoming more generic, right? You don't have all the history that some of the other rinks did. But two of my favorite rinks would be on the road would be Madison Square Garden obviously in New York City. That was always a great place to play. When you'd come out of the dressing room and you'd walk by pictures of all the other performers that had been in that building, whether it be musicians or boxers or what have you, right? Basketball. So many amazing events that have taken place in that historic arena. So that's right up there. And the Bell Center in Montreal, always a great vibe in Montreal, and being a team out west a lot of times, especially when I played with the Canucks, a lot of times that was a Hockey Night Canada game. And just the fans in Montreal are very educated and I think appreciative, even at times when the opposing team does something spectacular or a player does something. Instead of the fans like booing them, they'll actually cheer it, which is crazy. But so those two places would be right up there as far as road rinks. So some good times in those arenas. All right, guys. Well, how long have we been on here for? Whoa, 55 minutes. It seemed about like 15, but obviously we went through a first period. First time doing this with this channel. Again, give me some feedback, right? Be great to hear. I know we got a pretty plain background and all that. I get that. We should have a jersey and things like that up, but we can work on that. Prediction for this game here. I predict it's going to be tight. That's a no-brainer. I think that special teams are going to play a role, and I think it's going to be a 3-1 game with an empty net goal. That's my guess. So hopefully the visiting team can get it done, and we'll see. We'll see if I do have any hockey knowledge or not. All right. Well, have a good night, guys. Again, appreciate you coming on, and if you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe button. Obviously, the more people that we have on here, the more energized and excited that we get, and the more incentive it is for us to provide more content. Okay, so hope you had a good first period there. It was nice chatting. Thanks for the questions, and we'll chat soon. All right, enjoy the rest of the game.